Well, Shabbat Shalom. I just want to welcome everyone to the Sabbath Day conference call. We want to welcome all our family and friends that are here today by the phone or internet, or maybe you're watching YouTube. We invite everyone to go to the website, lunarsabbathday.com. It's a great source of information about the Creator's calendar, and there are lots of videos and articles there. And we invite you to go to the events page and join us for worship. Today, our discussion is about the 8 days of dedication on the Father's calendar. Moses dedicated Aaron and his sons. There are a lot of examples of 8 days of dedication, and that's what we're going to go through today. The whole body of the people were summoned for this occasion of Aaron and his sons. The first sacrifices for the nation were to be offered by the newly consecrated priest.
Leviticus 8, and we're going to read verses 4 through 10. And Moses did as Yahovah commanded him, and the assembly was gathered together unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Moses said unto the congregation, This is the thing which Yahovah commanded to be done. And Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. And he put upon them the coat, and girded him with the girdle, and clothed him with the robe, and put the ephod upon him, and he girded him with the curious girdle of the ephod, and bound it unto him wherewith. And he put the breastplate upon him also. He put on the breastplate, put in the breastplate the Urim and the Thummim. And he put the mitre upon his head, also upon the mitre, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as Yahovah commanded Moshe. And Moshe took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was therein, and sanctified them. Leviticus 8, and we'll read 31 through 35. And Moshe said unto Aaron and his sons, Boil the flesh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and there eat it with the bread, that is, in the basket of consecrations, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. And that which remaineth of the flesh and of the bread shall ye burn with fire. And ye shall not go out the door of the tabernacle of the congregation in 7 days, until the days of your consecration be at an end. For 7 days shall he consecrate you.
The rites of consecration were to last a whole week, and thus, like the longer of the annual festivals, were connected in an emphatic manner with the sabbatical number of the covenant. During this period, the priests were not to leave the holy precinct.
And continuing in Leviticus 8:34, And he hath done this day, as he hath done this day, so Yahovah shall commanded to do, to make an atonement for you. Therefore shall ye abide at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation day and night, 7 days, and keep the charge of Yahovah, that ye die not, for so I am commanded. The first offerings of Aaron. And this is Leviticus 9:1. On the 8th day, Moshe commanded Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel.
So a complete series of offerings and sacrifices are listed here in Leviticus 9:2 through 21. When Aaron completed the altar offerings for the first time, and with Moses blessed the people, and the glory of Jehovah appeared unto all the people.
This is Leviticus 9:22 through 24. And Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people and blessed them, and came down from offering the sin offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offerings. And Moshe and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation, and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of Yahovah appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before Yahovah, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offerings and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces.
Okay, now here is the dedication of Solomon's temple.
This is 2 Chronicles, verses 1 through 6. And then Solomon, Yahovah hath said unto that he would dwell in the thick darkness. But I have built a house of habitation for thee, and a place for thy dwelling forever. And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel. And all the congregation of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be Yahovah Elohim of Israel, who hath with his hands fulfilled that which he spoke with his mouth to my father David, saying, Since that day that I brought forth my people out of the land of Egypt, I chose no city among all the tribes of Israel to build an house in, that my name might be there. Neither chose I any man to be a ruler over my people Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. And he stood before the altar of Yahovah in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands. And he said, O Yahovah, Elohim of Israel, there is no God like thee in the heavens, nor in the earth, which keepeth covenant, and showeth mercy unto thy servants, that walk before thee with all their heart. Now, my Elohim, let, I beseech thee, thine eyes be open, and let thine ears be attent unto the prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore arise, O Yahovah Elohim, into thy resting place, thou and the ark of thy strength. Let thy priest, O Yahovah Elohim, be clothed with salvation, and let thy servants rejoice in goodness. O Yahovah Elohim, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Remember the mercies of David thy servant.
2 Chronicles 7:1 through 3. Now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Jehovah filled the house. And the priests could not enter into the house of Jehovah, because the glory of Jehovah had filled Jehovah's house. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and the glory of Jehovah upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and worshipped, and praised Jehovah, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
In 2 Chronicles 7:4 through 6. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahovah, and King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of Yahweh. And the priest waited on their offices. The Levites also with instruments of music of Yahovah, which David the king had made to praise Yahovah, because his mercy endureth forever. When David praised by their ministry, and the priests sounded trumpets before them, and all Israel stood.
Okay, and 7 or 8 through 10, also at the same time, Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt. Verse 9 says, and in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry in heart, for the goodness that Jehovah had showed unto David and to Solomon and to Israel his people. So the altar was dedicated, the temple was dedicated, and then after the 8 days of the dedication, then they had the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Sukkot, in the 7th month. Now, this is another dedication. Remember the children of Israel taken in captive into Babylon, and now they're wanting to go back. And this is about the temple being rebuilt and the dedication, again, of the temple.
Ezra 6:3. In the first year of King Cyrus, the king issued a decree concerning the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem, that'd be Elohim in Jerusalem. Let the temple be rebuilt as a place to present sacrifices, and let its foundations be laid. This is Ezra 6:13 through 15, completion and dedication of the temple. And then, because of the decree King Darius had sent, Tatani, governor of Trans-Euphrates, and Shethar, Bozani, and their associates carried it out with diligence. So the elders of the Jews continued to build and prosper under the preaching of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah, the descendant of Iddo. They finished building the temple according to the command of the Elohim of Israel, and the decrees of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, kings of Persia. The temple was completed on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, in the 6th year of the reign of King Darius.
And Adar is the 12th month of an ecclesiastical year on the Hebrew calendar, and that's roughly corresponding to the month of March in the Gregorian calendar. So it was finished in the 12th month, and they're going to be dedicating it on the 1st month there for Passover.
This is Ezra 6:16 through 17. And then the people of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the exiles celebrated the dedication of the house of Yahweh with joy. For the dedication of his house of Yahweh, they offered 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 male lambs, and as a sin offering for all Israel, 12 male goats, one for each of the tribes of Israel.
So all 12 tribes are represented.
The word dedication, called in the Greek enchania, and in Hebrew kanacha, the same word which gives its name to the feast of dedication, founded to commemorate the purification of the temple after the pollution of Antiochus Epiphanes, and that giving a reference here for you to look at. And that festival was kept for 8 days and began the 25th of Chislev, that is the 9th month.
Okay, and so I'll leave these links below, but I'm sorry, Brother Pete, I had you read that. But this is from Bible Hub describing back here this dedication of Ezra 6, when the temple was dedicated, it was the same Hebrew word as Hanukkah. Start with a K there, kind of throws us off, but it's the same word as used as Hanukkah for dedication, and so we're going to be looking into that further.
In Ezra 6:19-22, on the 14th day of the first month, the exiles celebrated the Passover. For 7 days they celebrated with joy the festival of unleavened bread, because Yahovah had filled them with joy by changing the attitude of the king of Assyria, so that he assisted them in the work on the house of Yahovah, the Elohim of Israel.
Now here is the Feast of Dedication. Hanukkah, the 8th-day Jewish celebration known as Hanukkah or Chanukah, commemorates the rededication during the 2nd century BC of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, where, according to legend, Jews had risen up against their Greek Syrian oppressors in the Maccabean revolt. Hanukkah, which means dedication in Hebrew, begins on the 25th day of Kislev on the Hebrew calendar, and that usually falls in November or December. So the history of Hanukkah, the events that inspired the Hanukkah holiday took place during a particularly turbulent phase of Jewish history. Around 200 BC, Judea, also known as the land of Israel, came under the control of Antiochus III, the Seleucid king of Syria, who allowed the Jews who lived there to continue practicing their religion. His son, Antiochus Epiphanes, proved less benevolent. Ancient sources recount that he outlawed the Jewish religion and ordered the Jews to worship Greek gods. In 168 BC, his soldiers descended upon Jerusalem, massacring thousands of people and desecrating the city's holy Second Temple by erecting an altar to Zeus and sacrificing pigs within its sacred walls.
Led by the Jewish priest Matthias and his 5 sons, a large-scale rebellion broke out against Antiochus and the Seleucid monarchy. When Matthias died in 166 BC, his son Judah, known as Judas Maccabeus, the Hammer, took the helm. Within 2 years, the Jews had successfully driven the Syrians out of Jerusalem, relying largely on guerrilla warfare tactics. Judah called on his followers to cleanse the Second Temple, rebuilt its altar, and light its menorah, the golden candelabra, whose 7 branches represent knowledge and creation, and were meant to be kept burning every night. Even though there was only enough untainted olive oil to keep the menorah candles burning for a single day, the flames continued flickering for 8 nights, leaving them time to find a fresh supply.
So for 8 days they celebrated the rededication of the altar. It had to be cleansed. It had the awful pig's blood on it, and terrible things had happened there in the temple. So while the part of the story concerning the oil is disputed, it is the traditionally accepted view. The apocryphal books known as First Maccabees and Second Maccabees record other versions of the origin of the 8 days of Hanukkah. Neither of them mentions the miracle of the oil. And so First Maccabees reads that for 8 days they celebrated the rededication of the altar. Then Judah and his brothers and the entire congregation of Israel decreed that the days of the rededication should be observed every year for 8 days. First Maccabees 4:56-59. Second Maccabees says simply, the Jews celebrated joyfully for 8 days as on the Feast of Booths or Sukkot. And this would have been, a month or two after Tabernacles would have been able to be celebrated if they'd been able to keep their feast. So yeah, it was kind of like a late Sukkot too, but they kept it for 8 days, and the altar was rededicated.
168 years before the birth of Yahshua, Antiochus Epiphanes outlawed the Jewish religion and ordered the Jews to worship the Greek gods. The story of Hanukkah does not appear in the Torah because the events that inspired the holiday occurred after it was written. It is, however, mentioned in the New Testament that Yeshua attends the Festival of Dedication. That's John 10:22 through 23. At that time, the Festival of Dedication took place in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Yeshua was walking in the temple courts in Solomon's colonnade.
Okay, now we have another altar dedication, another dedication for 8 days of the altar that's mentioned in the book of Ezekiel. After Ezekiel had surveyed the temple of Jehovah, he had a vision of the glory of Jehovah. And the purpose of the temple is the establishment and maintenance of harmonious relations between Jehovah and the sons of men. After this inauguration, the regular services shall be resumed and be acceptable unto Jehovah. And the epistle to the Hebrews, Hebrews 8 through 10, helps us to recognize in this vision the symbol of the purification of the church of Jehovah by the cleansing blood of Yeshua. He was the victim, the Passover lamb, and the priest.
In Ezekiel 43:25 through 27, 7 days shall ye prepare every day a goat for sin offering. They shall also prepare a young bullock and a ram out of the flock without blemish. 7 days shall ye purge the altar and purify it, and they shall consecrate themselves. And when these days are expired, it shall be that on the 8th day, and so forward, the priest shall make your burnt offerings upon the altar and your peace offerings, and you and I will accept you, saith Yahweh.
What does Jehovah require of his people today? Leviticus 27, dedicate yourselves to me and be holy, because I am Jehovah, your Elohim. And Jehovah has given us 8 days of dedication twice a year, Passover and Tabernacles. They are both feasts that are 8 days. 7 days of the feast, and then the Sabbath on each end. So we have twice a year time of dedication for our heart, mind, and soul to be cleansed. The dedication of Solomon's temple, 2 Chronicles 7:1. We'll go back and remember when Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Jehovah filled the temple. Jehovah's response to Solomon, here in 2 Chronicles 7:11 to 12, when Solomon had finished the house of Jehovah and the royal palace, successfully carrying out all that was in his heart to do for the house of Jehovah and for his own palace, Jehovah appeared to him at night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice.
In 2 Chronicles 7:14, and if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land.
That's right. So dedicate yourselves to Jehovah by following his calendar in the heavens. Keep his weekly Sabbath, new moon days, and the 8 days of dedication during the spring and fall feast. As we know, Psalms 19:1 says, "The heavens proclaim the glory of Jehovah, and the skies display his craftsmanship." So his calendar is there in the heavens, and he is wanting us to be dedicated to him. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you'll go back and study all these times of dedication that are listed here in Scripture.